white satin evening gown. A young man invited a young woman to a formal dance, but she was very poor. She could not afford to buy this evening gown she needed for such an occasion. "Maybe you can rent a dress," her mother said. So she went to a pawn shop not far from where she lived. There she found a white satin evening gown in her size. She looked lovely in it, and she was able to rent it for very little. When she arrived at the dance with her friend, she was so attractive. Everyone wanted to meet her. She danced again and again and was having a wonderful time. But then she began to feel dizzy and faint, and she asked her friend to take her home. "I think I have danced too much," she told him. When she got home, she lay down on her bed. The next morning, her mother found that her daughter had died. The doctor did not understand what had caused her death, so he had the coroner perform an autopsy. The coroner found that she had been poisoned by embalming fluid. It had stopped her blood from flowing. There were traces of the fluid on her dress. He decided it had entered her skin when she perspired while she was dancing.
Or sweat.
The pawnbroker said he bought the dress from an undertaker's helper. It had been used in a funeral for another young woman, and the helper had stolen it just before she was buried.
Urban legend! I'm a lot of stories. I read 2 books.
Okay. Oh my goodness. This is one for you children out there that have babysitters.
Especially one like Auntie Jen.
I resent that remark. The babysitter. It was 9 o'clock in the evening. Everybody was sitting on the couch in front of the TV. There were Richard, Brian, Jenny, and Doreen, the babysitter.
Michael, Mary, Bryce, Christopher, and Danny. What?
The telephone rang.
Cell phone rang.
"Maybe it's your mother," said Doreen.
Or your father.
She picked up the phone. But before she could say a word, a man laughed hysterically and hung up. "Who was it?" asked Richard.
Uncle Chuck!
"Some nut," said Doreen.
Still Uncle Chuck!
"What did I miss?" At 9:30, the telephone rang again. Doreen answered it. It was the man who called before. "I'll be there soon."
"I'll be there soon,"
he said, and he laughed as he hung up. "Who was it?" asked the children. "Some crazy person," she said. About 10 o'clock.
Crazy person? That's Auntie Jen.
About 10 o'clock, the telephone rang again.
Ring, ring.
Jenny got to it first. "Hello," she said. It was the same man. "1 more hour," he said.
"1 more hour."
And he laughed and hung up. He said, "1 more hour." What did he mean? asked Jenny.
Bedtime.
Don't worry, said Doreen.
Children.
It's somebody fooling around. "I'm scared," says Jenny. About 10:30, the telephone rang once more. When Doreen picked it up, the man said, "Pretty soon now." And he laughed.
Wait a minute. Wait. Pretty soon, darling.
"Why are you doing this?" Doreen screamed. And he hung up. "Was it that guy again?" asked Brian. "Yes," said Doreen. "I'm going to call the operator and complain." The operator told her to call back if it happened again. and she would try to trace the call. At 11 o'clock, the telephone rang again. Doreen answered it. Very soon now, the man said, and he laughed and hung up.
Soon now.
Doreen called the operator almost at once. She called back.
This is the operator calling.
That person is calling from a telephone upstairs. She'd said, "You'd better leave. I'll get the police." Just then, a door upstairs opened. A man they had never seen before started down the stairs toward them. As they ran from the house, he was smiling in a very strange way. A few minutes later, the police found him there and arrested him.
How'd they ever survive?
Urban legend. Ready?